Hi everyone, welcome to Recovery. My name is Alan Kapatashungu and I'm the co-founder of Front. So today this is a pretty exciting episode for me because I get to speak with not only a friend but also a mentor, an investor into our company. So today we're talking with Dave Chesnosky, who's the Vice President of Compass Commercial in San Francisco. Dave, how are you doing today, my man?
Good. Thanks, Al. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely, my pleasure, my pleasure. So let me give you a quick rundown, a little bit of context on how Dev and I met, and obviously as well as his background. So Dev and I met in late, I think it was 2015, in San Francisco while I was working on our very first foray into the real estate technology space. And back then it was a company called InstaVisit, which was our first company. Dave back then was the head of sales and leasing at RentingSF now, which is a really amazing brand, which is owned and operated by Veritas Investments. I believe it's maybe arguably the largest independent apartment owner in San Francisco. So InstaVisit, quick story short, InstaVisit failed, but Dev and I kept in touch. And then when I left San Francisco, I think it was mid 2016. So we just gonna continue discussing and having some conversation. But today, currently, Dave is now at Compass, and he also runs a company called RentingSF Inc., which is its own brand under Compass's umbrella, which is gonna, I believe he's gonna talk a little bit about it later on. So in 2018, basically, we just started to see the potential of what Front could do. Reached out to Dave, so we already established and built that relationship, and obviously he was kind enough and I think interested enough about what we were doing, so he became an investor into Front, and then we're just gonna pick it up from there. And we haven't dropped the ball since, I believe. So Dave basically is an incredible agent and specialist as it pertains to everything that's rental, real estate market, rental based in San Francisco and the Bay Area. We're going to really get into it. We're going to have the opportunity to hear about his expertise and what he thinks about what's going on in the market as we all go through these uncertain times. I'm really excited to hear your take, Dave. So whenever you're ready, we can get started.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Al.
Awesome.
That's really nice of you. Yeah, and I think it was around. I think it was around 2015.
Yeah.
At the Veritas office.
Exactly.
And yeah, I was really, it was really a great meeting because so just a little bit of background on me, and for people who are listening, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up on the peninsula in a town called Burlingame, about 20 minutes south of San Francisco. And then I've lived in San Francisco now since the mid 90s. My dad's from San Francisco, so I spent a lot of time as a kid in the city. And it's just a beautiful city, and I love it. And I love working here, and I love helping people, find homes. And so, I got into leasing in residential leasing about 2003, 2004.
Okay.
Worked for one of the largest landlords in the largest landlord in San Francisco. And then I started working with Veritas in 2010, and they became the largest residential landlord in San Francisco. Multifamily residential owner of a lot of apartment buildings. And so we built up a leasing team and a leasing brand called RentingSF now. We were known as the largest landlord in San Francisco. So we had a lot of new. This is kind of how I met Al. We had a lot of new people with new ideas and new rental apps or rental services that they wanted to pitch to RentingSF now. So I was meeting with all these different companies, and and Al came in with Emily, and they really, the reason why I wanted to become an investor, and what I liked about it is number one, I thought Al and Emily were just great people. Number one, number two, they definitely had something that no one else was focusing on, and that was the scheduling and the instant connection between the agent and the prospect, and making it easy for them to set an appointment and look at an apartment. And so a lot of the other companies I'm meeting with was just a lead generation site. So put your listings up, email the lead, and then you take it from there. And so the most important thing that we were focusing on at the time was, and still to this day, is how do we make it really easy for people to contact us and set an appointment as soon as possible. How do you respond to people as soon as possible? Get them the information they're looking for, set the appointment as soon as possible so they can get out and see the property. And then from there, we'll have an agent on site that helps them see if it's the right fit or not, and then and apply. So so it was just it was a great meeting. I'm glad that we've stayed in touch, and got a lot of new exciting things going on right now. Now that I've moved over to Compass and created my own leasing team and brand under Compass, and which is a great brokerage, by the way. So excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely. We're gonna get into all of that. We're gonna get an opportunity to really hear and learn from you about your expertise and what you think about what's going on in the market and what you should expect in the months to come. So to get us started, what I would like to ask you there is if you could describe, or if it could be possible for you to just kind of walk us through, like, what has been your quote unquote typical work day throughout this crisis? What you do pretty much? What's happening in a day for you right now?
Yeah. So, well, when the shelter in place first started, San Francisco was one of the, I think, the first, or one of the first major cities in the U.S. to shelter. And so there was no in-person showings allowed at all. And so everything was done over email, and obviously, just with photos and videos. And surprisingly, things were still leasing. People were still, we're still leasing apartments, and which is not almost always, an owner would want somebody to see a unit in person, but at the time, we weren't able to. So some owners were okay with people just, viewing a video tour and photos and leasing a unit sight unseen. So it was a lot of just, staying busy at home and doing everything at home, and, do my wake up in the morning, do my exercising in my office / second bedroom, and get on email and get on the phone, and and that was it. And be able to get outside and just take my dog on a quick walk, and then come back in and do it all over again. And so I'm it's because like I said, there were still people looking. I guess fast forward a little bit, a couple months. They eased the restrictions, and we were able to go and just do individual showings, vacant apartments, of course, wearing masks, gloves, and being really safe. When we're meeting people, and we started to get really busy because San Francisco has historically had, especially over the past 7 or 8 years, has had an extremely low vacancy percentage. Talking citywide, like 3%, vacancy. So as a leasing broker, leasing agent, somebody who focuses on residential leasing of apartments, condos, and single family homes in San Francisco, we've never seen this type of vacancy that we're seeing now. It's just unprecedented. So I guess as things progressed, and a lot of people started moving out of San Francisco for various reasons. Unfortunately, some people lost their jobs. They got furloughed, and then they lost their jobs, or their companies started announcing that they can work from home indefinitely. Like Twitter announced that. Google announced that they're not reopening their offices until July 2021. I believe Facebook is June 2021. Salesforce just announced yesterday that they're not reopening their offices until, I guess, July 2021. Now, I don't think that's for all employees, and I think they give people an option. But I think a majority, it's like you can decide you either office or work from home until mid 2021. So you have a lot of people that if they can work from home, they're moving to wherever they might be moving. If they might be moving home, and to save money, they might be moving to Lake Tahoe, which is just a 3.5 hour drive from San Francisco. You know, they might be moving to Sonoma or Napa or LA, or so there's as of right now today, and sorry, August 20th. I mean, there is a lot of vacancy, a lot of inventory.
Wow.
So, like I said, as this restrictions eased and we were able to go out and do individual showings, we've picked up so much inventory. It's incredible. So, I mean, I have so many options. I've actually had to expand my business and hire people to help me in the office, and hire more leasing agents to help me to show properties. And so my day now, like as it stands, is like it starts. I mean, first thing in the morning, I get up and I try once again to do my get an exercise in, and then I'm immediately on emails, and I'm setting up my appointments for the day and setting up my staff, what they have to do for the day. And then it's a variation about whether I'm in the office and I'm making sure all our ads are updated and correct. I'm making sure that the people that work in the office with me know where they need to go to drop off keys, pick up keys, deliver checks, drop off checks. I mean, whatever, put things in the mail, FedEx them to owners, because my owners are spread out. They're not all in San Francisco. I mean, they're spread out all over. Some are overseas. And then I'm on calls with owners. I'm still out myself showing places, and still, a lot of people are work from home. Some people are in the office, but people still, if they work from home, they're working during the day, so they want to look at apartments or condos or homes after work hours, so a little bit later. So usually from about 4 o'clock until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I'm out showing apartments and condos. Then by 8 o'clock, I get home and I have dinner and I relax a little bit, and I hang out with my wife, who's been very supportive of me, and knowing that I started a business and I'm super busy, and and that's about it. And then to repeat it. And honestly, I'm not kidding. I mean, Saturdays and Sundays, I'm out. It's almost the same thing. So I'm literally working 7 days a week to try and help people get their places rented up. Yeah,
that's incredible. That's really incredible. It's also a really interesting opportunity as well for you, because to kind of piggyback on what you just said, I remember living in San Francisco, so this was 2016. Outside of this COVID pandemic that we go through, it is almost impossible to have an apartment free in San Francisco for like, you can look at it today, literally tonight or tomorrow it's gone. So when you talk about vacancy, like it just goes to show you how even in a vibrant and really, really competitive market as San Francisco, things are pretty much decelerated as well over there, because it's pretty much a tendency everywhere.
Yeah, you're right, Al. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of owners of rental property in San Francisco have been pretty spoiled the past 7 or 8 years.
Agreed.
So obviously we had there was a dip in 08, 09, 2010. Really things started, and I leased through that. This right now, what we're going through now, is way worse than 08, 09, 2010, than the Great Recession. There was a dip. It started to come back kind of late 2010. By mid 2011, we were already back pretty much at So it took back to where whatever the peak was in, I guess it was, like I said, early 2008 or so, mid 2008, before it started to dip down. So, but it was more gradual. This was just like I mean, the month of June was probably the worst month, because April and May were still not too bad. Like I said, we're doing pretty much everything virtual, but June is really when you start to see a lot of move outs, and prices really went down quite a bit. And and so like I said, of course I'm working with a lot of different. I work with multifamily owners that own multiple buildings and a lot of apartments, and I work with owners that own one condo unit, and they're kind of, depending on where they were priced at before. You could put something on the market in San Francisco and you could have it rented the next day. I mean, literally, within a day or two. So now when I tell people, the owners I work with, I say, look, it's depending on where you price it at, it might take it might take 30 to 60 days to get this rented, and get somebody. And yeah, they're just not. It's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. And then when they tell me what they rented their unit for before versus what I think they'll rent it for now, it's a little bit of a tough pill for them to swallow. But it is what it is, and we do our best to educate them and keep them updated, and like I said, and do everything that we were doing before. It's just there's definitely more. We're trying. We're of course really busy, but we're trying to do our best to keep everybody updated. And what I always tell owners is we just try and stay in contact more. Every 3, 4, 5 days we should be talking about activity, how many inquiries, how many tours, and adjusting the price accordingly. And if we do that, we'll get stuff. You've got stuff rented because we're lucky in San Francisco that there is still demand. There is still people that are moving around. It's not a lot of people that are moving into San Francisco, but there's a lot of people that are moving within San Francisco. So a lot of San Francisco residents now are moving because they want more space, they want another bedroom, they want outdoor space, they want to be closer to a park, closer to the beach. It's so for various reasons people are shuffling around. And so things are still renting, but they've definitely taken a price hit, and takes a little bit longer to get stuff leased up.
Yeah, I definitely get it. The one thing that I would like to ask you next is, so as a leasing agent, as a property investment specialist, which is what you are, like, what do you think that that was overlooked before COVID, that really COVID highlighted, like, as an undeniable demand? For example, this could be a product, this could be a service, this could just be the way you work. Like, what is one thing that you believe has been overlooked, but now, like, it is just there. You have to do with it. You have to do it. You have to deal with it, pretty much. What is the one thing you think has been overlooked?
So let's see. That's a really good question, Al.
Yeah.
From a property investment standpoint, if you're an owner of investment property, what was overlooked? I mean, so San Francisco, number one, is of course is not an inexpensive place to live at all. It's very not only the rent and the sale prices of properties, but just getting a unit upgraded. The cost of materials, labor, all that is expensive. So, and once again, some owners that might own multiple apartment buildings, it's much easier for them to say, I'm gonna invest money in my properties or in my units, and I'm gonna spend. I can spend the money to remodel this unit and add laundry in unit, and and upgrade that open up remove a wall, open up a kitchen, make it more of a modern space that people are looking for. There's some owners that, like I said, that own one property, and it might not be possible for them to do that. But that's the thing that before COVID, I think and then you throw rent control into the mix also with if somebody owns a rent control property, it might be harder also for them to invest a lot of money into their property. But I think that might be something that some people have overlooked pre-COVID, that they should have, if they had the opportunity in the past to do some more upgrades, and namely add laundry inside of a unit. Yeah. They should have done it, or should do it, because now they're in a situation where they have a unit on the market, doesn't have laundry in unit. The kitchen or bathroom might be 15, 20, 25 years old. Yeah. And it's just, and maybe it still has carpet. It doesn't have hardwood floors. Maybe the building hasn't been painted in years. So, and they're suffering now because it's a renter's market. The renters they want a nice, clean building, and they want the common area to look nice. They won't go in the unit. They want laundry in unit. They want the kitchen and bathroom to be upgraded. And if they're old, they're sitting on the market, or they're just, owners are having to drop their prices in order to get something rented. So I would say that that'd probably be the number one thing for an investor is, definitely plan for that. Plan to, to be able to, save that money to be able to invest back into the property. So, as opposed to just waiting, because then a situation like this happens. And like I said, especially if it's a rent control product, because rent control property, because now they're having to lower their price in order to get somebody in, and somebody rents it at a certain price. And now that person is living there, and you can only raise the rent a very small percentage every year based on San Francisco rent control laws.
That's definitely a great point, because I remember when I was in Montreal, I think it was in 2011, 2012, we were building our company there, which was a real estate marketing company. And to your point, so in Montreal, there's this really, really old building, pretty much some kind of a landmark called La Cité. And so that building is, I think it was built in 1970, 75, 79, something of that nature. The exterior of the building, like you can see that it's really, really old, and the interior as well. So meaning, it's still carpeted. You don't have all floors and things of that nature. So going on to your point, if you really want people to move into your building, the building might be old, but you really have to make sure that it just fits with today's standard as it pertains to people living in your building. It has to be it has to look a little bit new, right?
But people in San Francisco, because there's a lot of in the neighborhoods in San Francisco, north of South of Market, so north of Market Street. When you get into the neighborhoods, there's a lot of old buildings. Buildings were built in the 20s and 30s, sometimes before the early 1900s, some late 1800s. There's some beautiful like Victorian flats were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And people like that. They like the older character of the building, but when they get inside the unit, they want it to be modernized. They want it to be remodeled, and like I said, laundry and unit, and nice open kitchen layout, and it's but like I said, it's not it's easier said than done, because it's not cheap.
For sure. You touched on a little bit about what's happening in the market when we started our conversation, but you started to talk about rent control, and I think this is something that not only interests me, but I think would be really interesting to have your take on a little bit about it, like as it pertains to the state of the business, rental-wise or transaction-wise in San Francisco. Like I know, because when I was in the city, the first thing that I've done, talking to people who lived there before me, they were always, pushing me, try to find rent control, buildings in order for you to, just have a better deal as it pertains to where you live. But those things back in 2015, they were really, really rare. They were really, really rare. Like, so do you think that we owners actually are going to have to be a little bit more flexible as it pertains to having some of their building or some of their units applying rent control, or this is just something that won't happen even though we're going through COVID right now?
Well, there's in San Francisco specific. There's two types of rent control now. So there's San Francisco rent control, which is any apartment building built before 1979 is apartment building, multifamily building built before 79 is rent control under San Francisco rent control laws. And then on January 1, 2020, they implemented state rent control, which is any apartment building built 15 years ago or sooner. Is state rent control. And so and they're definitely, San Francisco rent control is definitely more strict than state rent control. But no, I mean, they've had it since 79 in San Francisco. And so, anyone that, and it's a law, and I don't, I've dealt with and leased and worked with rent control properties for years. It's, I don't have, I've seen it work where it protects people and protects families, and I think that's a good thing, and a very good thing. And so it's I don't like I said, it's not it's definitely a benefit for a renter. You move in, and your rent can only be increased an average of like 1.5% every year, every 12 months. So it's I don't know if that's if there's to me I really honestly I don't see much of a difference, because you have, I mean, a lot of the non-rent controlled properties here in San Francisco that are newer, you don't, it's interesting. Somebody that wants to live in a nice new shiny building that has a doorman and has a pool and has a gym and have, they're usually they're not, and a lot of those buildings are more of, like I said, along Market Street and kind of in the South Market neighborhood, which right now is struggling the worst out of any area with vacancy and price drops. It's pretty bad because they built a lot of these new apartment buildings and new condo buildings down in that area. You know, a lot of high rises. But yeah, people that are looking for that type of products usually aren't looking also in the neighborhoods to look into living into like an older building that might only be a 12 unit building that definitely doesn't have a doorman, definitely doesn't have a pool or a gym, might have a roof deck, but that's it in terms of amenities. So it's a little different. And, I've leased a lot of both of those types of unit, obviously, thousands of both types of units. And, it's so with rentals, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I mean, most people, their plans are, I don't know, kind of, either flexible, most people, or just kind of unknown, So, I mean, some people just, how long you plan on staying? People, like, I don't, a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, and some people and probably and maybe end up staying 10 years. So I don't, it's kind of, I don't know if that answered your question or not, Al, but it does. It's not, it is what it is. It's very normal here. We abide by all the rent control rules and regulations that are put forth by the city. And it's, like I said, if it's something, that was implemented to really, I think that's the original plan, was it was implemented to protect families in San Francisco. And myself, coming from a family that was, my dad was born and raised in San Francisco. It's a great thing. So
I think so. I definitely think so. So this is more a little bit not personal, but kind of. So I've known you for a while now, and I know how you work, and I know how you're just dedicated to your craft. But I wanted to ask you, like, as we go through this time, what are some of the lessons that you have learned about yourself that you could maybe share with us and share with agents and people listening to us right now? What are some of the lessons that you've been able to learn about you lately?
Well, that's a great question, Al. And so something that my wife reminds me of almost daily is we have to be grateful, just Absolutely. Gratitude. I'm fortunate to be working still. I'm healthy. My wife's healthy. Our dog is healthy. We, and how much I care about pets. And I know. Because of, once again, I'm not saying this is one of the things that has happened during the, coronavirus is that I adopted my dog from a shelter. I've heard that shelter adoptions have doubled since this has started, and we see more people in our neighborhood with dogs and everything. But now, so that's a good thing coming through this tragedy where it's affected so many people in different ways. That I'm just grateful, like I said, that I can still be working because a lot of people have it's affected them a lot worse, and so that's probably my number one thing is just waking up every day and just being grateful that I'm able to work and still able to help people find homes and do what I can to help the community here in San Francisco.
That is awesome. So you talked a little bit about you getting more inventory right now as the city has never seen that level of vacancy, which is a good thing as well, as I was mentioning for you, just allow you to not only grab more listings, but also figure out what you could do as the business and the market starting to speed up a little bit, because that time will come, obviously. So you've hired some leasing agents in order to help you into that quest. So a question for you here is, So what advice would you give to, new leasing agents? They're just getting started now, pretty much in the middle of this pandemic. And as you mentioned earlier as well, you did start in the middle of a recession as well. So you may have, some advice that you can maybe share. Like, this is, I'm a new agent. I'm starting right now. What should I do? Like, I'm in the middle of a pandemic. I cannot really do showing, not that much. What should they do? What advice could you give to new agents starting in the business?
Yeah. No. Well, so I started like in about 2003, 2004 in San Francisco. So it was kind of like on the upswing after the .com bust. So
Oh,
things
wow.
were bad. In I think 2001, 2002 in San Francisco. 03, 04 they started to pick up
Exactly.
again and peaked, like I said, in kind of '07, I guess early '08 or mid '08, and and then came down again, and then went back up, and now they're down again. So yeah, that's you just stay positive and you work hard every day and things will eventually turn around. I started in leasing and property management because I was lucky enough to have a family friend, and his family owned a lot of apartment buildings in San Francisco. So I managed a property and I did leasing, and then I started doing more leasing, and then I started building a team, and I hired leasing agents, and so I've done that twice now. But I personally I love leasing, and once of course I have I'm a realtor, I'm a licensed realtor, and I got my license, and of course I started thinking, why am I'm just renting out apartments, I should be selling multi-million-dollar buildings, and and I'm going to be and it turned, but then I said, well, but I love leasing and I love property management and I love helping people, and so if I might as well just be the best leasing agent in San Francisco, and I think that'll lead to more things, which it has. I ended up helping people buy multi-million-dollar apartment buildings. So I've done sales before. I've helped sell multi-million-dollar apartment buildings. I became really, like the leasing expert in San Francisco for multifamily owners, and I worked for the largest multifamily owner in San Francisco, and I helped them, tour their capital partners, and so it's really turned into this to more than just being a leasing agent. And so what I tell leasing agents when I meet them, and I tell people that are, I do work with a little bit more with people, they're just getting into real estate and they're newly licensed, and I tell them, you might be like me and just focus on leasing for the next 20 years and get really good at it, and you'll have a great career. You might after a couple of years of doing leasing, you might think you want to get into doing mortgages, and be a mortgage broker along with doing leasing, or just be a mortgage broker, or be a residential sales agent, or sell apartment buildings, or get into office leasing. I mean, there's so many different options. But I really do, see leasing as an entry point into real estate, which you build really good skills of just people skills, negotiation skills, because it's a really quick transaction. It's really good. You can post up you can go out, you can meet with an owner. He says, great, let's do this. And they sign the lease listing agreement. You get the photos, you put the ad up. Next thing you know, because in San Francisco, you're dealing directly with prospects, with tenants, it's kind of rare. It's not like New York City where the tenants call an agent and the agent represents them, and it's just agent to agent. You're dealing with the tenants, and so you're dealing with buyers essentially. Or tenants like, this is what I'm looking for. I don't like this. I want this. Great. Now, let me see what I can find for you. Or this place is perfect for you. I have this, and your son. And then the transaction closes, and boom. And within a week or two, people are moving in, and a week or two after that, you're getting your commission. You get paid. So it can happen. It's a lot shorter sales cycle than a sales, and in sales. So that was, like I said, it's a great. And I have people now that do they're doing residential leasing, and then they're doing while they do something else on the side, or while they even have their full-time job, and then they're helping with leasing, after work or on the weekends. So it's a great way to supplement their income.
Those are really, really great feedback and great takes. So to follow up on that, Dave, like, do you think that this, pandemic forced our industry to redefine or at least reimagine, how we work? For example, on an agent standpoint, except the Zoom, obviously, because we do a lot of that. But do you think that what we are going through right now has forced our industry to just rethink the way we do work as agents?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, that was the other. I mean, I don't even think I touched on this before. So immediately when I when I knew that we were only strictly work from home, strictly for hours, I ended up. I have a leasing agent, a charity who works with me, who's great, and her husband Shay, who is actually building my new website for me, which should be in about a week or two. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Well, they helped with finding a really good 360 video camera.
Okay.
So we can do basically 360 tours now, where you can basically we can do 360 photos, which swivel around, or 360 video.
Awesome.
We've been doing more of this 360 video tours, and so yeah, so we just. I never used 360 video tours. Go out, we have our own camera, we shoot it ourselves, and then I have a YouTube channel that I upload it to. And my YouTube channel is RentingSF. It's really easy, RentingSF. And you can go on there, and so I'm able to send the video links, and they're 360 interactive, videos, walkthroughs that I do, or other people have done, that other people on my team do. And people can just swivel them around, and I don't know. Personally, I like them better than the 360 still photos.
Agreed.
Just because, yeah, you can stop it, you can swivel it, you can fast forward it, and I try and a lot of the places I'm renting. I mean, I've rented 4,000 square foot homes.
Oh wow!
And I've rented 300 square foot studios. So most of my rentals are probably in the 500 to 1,000 square foot range. So they're not huge places. So a nice 360 walkthrough might take a minute to a minute and a half to get through, which I think is enough time. It's not like a 5-minute video where somebody's gonna after a minute they're out. But yeah, a minute to a minute and a half, they can see the walkthrough, they can stop it, they can spin it around, they can see what the kitchen looks like, the bathroom looks like, and that's been a huge help to be able to give that. Send that to people before they come out and look at something in person. I still really want, and I'm encouraging people to come and look at something in person, because nothing replaces it. Photos or videos not replace it. You need somebody to go out, see the neighborhood, see the building, see the unit in person. That is the best way to lease a property. So that's why I don't know. In my opinion, that is never going to go away, and you need that agent, that human interaction, that agent there. Of course, now very safe, masks and gloves, everything, and social distancing. But you need that person there too. That's experience, that knows the building. That's going to explain it to somebody and tell them, here's the features, here's the benefits. They're there directly. They can answer questions right there on the spot, and hope to get someone into that home. So
I completely agree because at the end of the day, this is, and it's definitely good that you touched on that, because I've had the opportunity to talk a lot about it throughout these interviews, and every time I would just repeat the same thing over and over and over, because I know that we build technology for the real estate industry, but the difference between what's happening in the real estate industry and any other sector or field is that even though we build technologies, even though we use AI, machine learning, and things of that nature, it's first and foremost a human interaction business. So doing real estate is a human-to-human thing first. And then we just use technology to help us, to empower us, to make us more efficient. But I will never see a scenario, and this is just always mind-boggling to me, where you can have AI or whatever, be in a position where you could actually advise a human being as it pertains to just, buying your home. As you say, it's a feeling thing. You have to be in a home. You have to. I know that right now we have to do it online. By the way, the platform that you use, and I've been fortunate enough to see what David's talking about. I will put a link in this after our conversation receipt, so you guys are going to be able to see it. But he really did an amazing job as it pertains to presenting, the homes. You can really tour them from your apartment without having to go out. But I'm with you on that. At the end of the day, I need, for me personally, to go into the apartment and look at the lighting and be able to touch, before renting, for example, the place. So I don't think that will ever go away. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Technology is a huge part of our business right now.
Absolutely.
Like I said, from the 360 tours to, of course, DocuSign. I mean, it's incredible. I was leasing apartments before DocuSign. When it was a paper application, paper lease, to meet people at the I would meet them at the property to go through the lease, and they'd sign it, and then I'd go back and I'd make a copy, and then I'd see, we might have been faxing too, back then, not even beginning, and but yeah, it's huge. But I totally, you need that human interaction, because it's, especially in a market like San Francisco, because a lot of properties are really unique. So, you want people out there at the property, and like I said, providing, I've always said, when we're leasing homes is, it's there, of course there's some selling involved, but it's mainly service. It's mainly servicing the client, and making sure that they have all their, everything they need, and they're, like I said, they're comfortable, and they have all their questions answered, and so.
I agree. And to be honest and candid about this, so every time I get to talk with, whether it's other agents or customers that we want to work with, even to our investors, I always mention Dave, because the way you approach, being an agent. I just had this thesis where I was talking, I think this was maybe 9 or even a year ago, where I published an article saying that I believe that no matter what comes next. So I was thinking about a recession. I didn't see COVID, obviously, but my take was, I believe that the agents who really care about, not just selling homes or renting apartments, but really being of service to their customers, those are the ones that will still be standing no matter what happens, no matter what recession comes, no matter what market comes. And you can see it. Like, I really get to talk to agents, and you can see, not to offend anybody, but some of them have been furloughed, and companies have been closing, and even embarrassed. Like, an agency was, they were here yesterday, and now they're gone. Just because, again, this aspect of being really, really focused on the customer first, and not just on yourself. And you can see people like yourself, Dave, and a bunch of others are still standing just because they have, I believe, what's the right mindset as it pertains to serving your customer and really, really helping them get to where they want to be. And that will just, give you the reward after that. And I believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right now. Absolutely.
Awesome. So Dave, to kind of top our conversation here, what are some of your personal or business goal for the remainder of the year? Like, is there any vacation that you're planning to take over the next couple of weeks? What's happening for you?
We were supposed to be going to Europe, closer to you.
Yes,
actually.
You were supposed to, absolutely. You're supposed to go to Portugal.
We had to cancel it, obviously. We're supposed to be leaving for Portugal on the 25th, and we're going to go to Spain. Mom and sister live in Spain, and we were like, but hey, of course, we want to be safe, and I did a little work trip and sort of mini vacation to Los Angeles, a few weeks ago. We might go up to Lake Tahoe. Well, just staying probably close by. And we just, once again, we want to be making sure that we're safe, and everyone else, that we would, anyone else that we would interact with is safe as well. So just following the guidelines here in, whether it's San Francisco or the state of California, but probably a Lake Tahoe trip. Awesome. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I've never been there, but everybody has been telling me about it. So next time I will definitely get there. I would love to go there. Yeah. For sure.
But that's about it. I mean, like I said, I'm super very busy with work, and so which I'm grateful for, and so I'm just trying to definitely keeping up here and making sure that we're taking care of things.
That is awesome. I think it's just a rain check. We're gonna have the opportunity to do this maybe next year or the following year.
Sure, I hope so. Yeah, we all hope so.
Definitely,
Sure.
Definitely. Thank you, Dave. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Recovery with Dave Chesnosky. You can catch this episode on YouTube and on all platforms streaming podcasts. And remember, in the recovery, don't just get back to the same place, but strive to be in a better place. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Al.
We can continue the chat. I'm gonna cut after.
Oh, cool!
Really,
yeah,
thank you for making.
I appreciate it, man. That was good. That was really fun. That was awesome. And good job. Good for you for doing that. And like I said, once I get a little more, I don't know. I'm just trying to keep things organized.
And, keep going for now. I know that you are making things happen.
Don't worry, get the front door stuff implemented. I just a lot of it has been on my own right now. But
I know.
Yeah, no, we'll get it taken care of for sure.
For now, keep going. I know that's why I haven't been pushing. So for now, just keep going and make sure that you organize. As Emily and I and the whole team here, we just want you to win. So just focus on that. And then, I think maybe down in September, maybe the end of September when we have, a little bit more clarity, I will definitely get back to you and, just kind of, we can go from there, maybe organize a meeting and tell me where we are and see where we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah, that's great, buddy. Oh, that's awesome. Sounds good. All right, thanks, Al.
My pleasure, Dave. Have a good one and say hi to your wife for me.
Of course, we'll do. Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Absolutely, man. God bless you, man.
Yeah, man. Take it easy. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
See you, bud.